Hey guys, King Charmander here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And now, hold on, give me 1 second. Zamazenta. Okay, so this is Hero Zamazenta. I'm gonna go over it really fast as far as typing goes, because I already went over it. It's a pure fighting type Pokemon, like Machamp, and it has really decent stats for Ultra League. So for Open Ultra League, not Ultra Premier, because you know, Ultra Premier you can't have legendaries. But the thing about Zamazenta is its stats are decent enough to where it can be good. Keyword is can. Now we finally got the data on it, so we do have Zamazenta's movesets. As you see, pure fighting types are weak to fairies, flying, and psychic. So you have an equal amount of resistances as well as weaknesses, as you resist bug, dark, and rock. But you are weak to fairy, flying, and psychic. Charmers, Gust users, Pidgeot, Psychic Confusion users, Resistance, of course, X-Scissor, Snarls, Foul Plays, Umbreon, and Smackdowns from whatever is viable in Open Ultra League for the most part, which is basically like Aggron. But as you see here, it has Snarl, which I correctly predicted, but its movesets were pretty interesting. I predicted Snarl as well as Close Combat, possibly Ironhead, and Moonblast. You know, it's kind of funny when a pure fighting type gets Moonblast, but the funny thing is Zacian doesn't actually have Moonblast, but the fighting type does. Anyways, let's get started on the rankings. Alright, now the funny thing about Zamazenta... Oh wait, hold on, before I say anything, as I always say, please consider contributing to pvpoke.com. You can do it by going to the home screen, and then the contribute tab is right there. Anyways, the funny thing about Zamazenta is that it's actually better statistically than Zacian. Yes, it's only 3 points, but still, it's pretty hilarious. But anyway, Zamazenta, the hero form, is a pure fighting type, and because of that, it actually has a decent coverage. There's a lot of steals in Open Ultra League, so you'll be able to take out things like Melmetal, ice types like Lapras. You also take out the poor Obstagoon. Obstagoon gets absolutely obliterated by Zamazenta. You also resist Night Slash, so that's also a plus. You also resist Dark type, so Alolan Muck is a strong suit against you. The funny thing is, Zamazenta can actually beat Gear Altered in the one shield just because you have Crunch and Snarls. So it's kind of funny because if you flip the scenario around, it's kind of... you need Play Rough to beat Altered form, and you don't even beat in everything. I mean Zacian. But as you see, you lose against, just like Zacian, you lose against all high pressure mons, which is Swampert. You lose against Confusion users as well as Fairy type users, Moonblast, and Cresselia. And unfortunately, you can lose to other fighting types because you don't have counter, but they do, as in Excavalier. As you see, Zamazenta has a pretty even stat line, 168, 162. Unfortunately, it's not super bulky, doesn't have a lot of fast move pressure because of Snarl, and of course, anything with close combat is going to be very technical. Best used in the lead or the closer. You don't want to use it as a switch because there's a lot. Imagine getting a fighter locked into a Charmer. It would suck a lot, right? Yes, it would. Alright, so here's the Open Ultra League matrix for Zamazenta. As you see here, we have Close Combat and Crunch. We also have Close Combat and Moonblast. I don't know why a fighter has Moonblast and the Fairy type version, like Zacian, they didn't give it to Zacian, but like, it's, you know, it's freaking Pokemon Go. Anyways, I put both these movesets here just to give you extra coverage. In my opinion, the Close Combat Crunch version is still better, just because with that you can be Giratina Altered. Moonblast takes a little more energy to get to, so it's kind of really interesting just how it plays out. But we'll see how it actually plays out in the 2-shield. As you see in the 2-shield, I have the meta to the right for Open Ultra League. We hit battle, and this is what you get. Of course, anything that punches stuff in the face, you'll be able to beat Obama Snow, or, yeah, Obama Snow. So, did you vote for Obama? If you did, if you voted for it, sadly, it gets destroyed by Zamazenta Hero in the 2-shield because of Close Combat. Close Combat's a tricky move to use. You double up, you triple up, and then you blast your... Well, you can't triple up, but you double up and you blast your opponent to death. It's basically what it is. Now, the thing is, even in the lead, Zamazenta isn't the greatest thing in the world. As you see here, it's a very, very interesting mon. You lose against a lot of leads, and I mean a lot of leads. You can, however, beat Empoleon, which is actually a popular... It's actually a pretty popular lead. You can also beat Giratina Origin with the Moonblast version, which you don't see a lot in the lead anyways in 2-shield. You can beat Lapras, you can beat Lugia, Melmetal, of course, as well as Alolan Muck. Alolan Muck's interesting just because, well, this is the Snarl version. The Poison Jab version is going to be able to beat you, so it just depends which version of Alolan Muck you are fighting. It's a Poison Jab, you're going to lose to it. And as you see here, you also beat Obstagoon, of course, because it's double weak to fighting. Registeel, Scizor, Snorlax, fighting types. Again, fighting type. Anything that fighting basically beats, you have a strong matchup against most of them. Unfortunately, because of the fact it's a fighting type, you will get charmed to death. And at the same time, because you don't have... Even though Snarl is a great move, it's not as overpowered as community moves, which is why Venusaur and Swampert will absolutely wipe you from the face of the planet in the 2-shield. Also, Talonflame wipes you out from the face of the earth as well. So, against a lot of lead combinations, Zamazenta is not the greatest lead in the world, so don't recommend. Alright, so the funny thing is that the 2 and the 1 shield aren't very much different. You're not going to flip a lot of matchups depending on shield scenarios, just because of the fact that Zamazenta has... close combat mons are generally best in the closer. Same thing with anything that debuffs you. As you see here, it's very iffy when it comes to the 1 shield and the 2 shield. Generally, you'll beat everything you're going to beat in the 2 shield, but you beat Drifblim with the Crunch version. You'll also be able to beat Giratina Altered in the 1 shield with the Crunch version. So, but this is a super close matchup. 511, don't count on it. Anything close to a 500 rating is very, very close. So I wouldn't count on being able to beat Gira in the 1 shield. As you see, you're able to beat Jellicent as well as Lapras. Jellicent you pick up in the 1 shield. You also pick up, well, you don't pick up Alolan Muck. You still beat the Snarl version. You still beat Obstagoon. You can beat Registeel, Snorlax, Galarian, Stunfisk, and Umbreon. Basically, almost sheerly identical to the 2 shield. You don't pick up much. So this is why in the 2-to-1s, Zamazenta Hero is not great. Even if you do have Moonblast, there isn't a lot of chance you have against a lot of the meta. Alright, now the 0 shield. This is the best position for Zamazenta. Not only in my opinion, but factually, as statistically, like anything that debuffs you, like nuke moves, are best used in the closer. As you see here, Zamazenta still loses against a wide variety of mons, but with Moonblast, you can take out the Dragon-type archetype. So you can take out Dragonite Shadow, you can also take out regular Dragonite with Moonblast. With the Crunch version, you can take out Drifblim. You flip Excavalier and a Ferrothorn. Yes, close combat will wipe those from the face of the planet because you could double up and then just smash them to death. With Crunch, you could take out Gengar as well. So as you see here, in the closer, you flip significant amount of matchups. You can beat both Giratina Altered and Giratina Origin. The funny thing is, you actually beat the Shadow Claw version with both versions, with Moonblast or Crunch, which is pretty funny. Just because if they have Dragon Breath, they'll kill you, but if they don't, they die. So, just putting that out there. But, as you see, with the Moonblast version, you also beat Fighters, which is why you beat Machamp, as you see here. You're also able to beat, with the Moonblast version, Surfetch. So, basically, Fighters, you will flip with the Moonblast version. And with close combat itself, you can take out things like Meganium, of course, Melmetal, the Steel types. Both versions of Alolan Muck will fall, so unlike the 2 shield and the 1 shield, where you only beat Snarl, you can beat Poison Jab as long as there's no shield. So, as you see, very, very powerful in the closer. You can use Zamazenta in the back to punch a lot of your opponents. Just keep in mind, this is an expensive piece of hardware. And arguably, Machamp might be better. Actually, Machamp is technically better in the zeros as well. Alright, now as usual, whenever you're in the 1-to-0s, you flip a lot of matchups. Moonblast will still flip a few things. For example, like Surfetched. Surfetched with Moonblast just because you have it. And close combat, you unfortunately... doesn't really, or you're not able to flip it close combat alone. So as you see here, a lot of things, you basically, Moonblast, you can flip the Fighters, and without it, you don't in the 1-to-0s. 2-to-0s, same story. The only difference is, even if you do, the big thing is, even if you do have shields or shield advantage, Clefable and other Charmers will still wipe you from the face of the earth, just because Charmers practically erase Fighters. Just putting that out there. In the 2-to-1s, if you have shield advantage, the 2-to-1 scenario is kind of weird, just because with the 2-to-1s, it's, as you see, there's a lot of random matchups that flip. But generally, it follows the same concept. With Crunch, whatever you cover with Crunch, you can beat Giratina Altered, Gengar, etc. With Moonblast, you don't cover those mons, though. In the zeros, you can cover Giratina Altered with Moonblast. However, because they have a shield, you can't. So, also, 454 isn't a very close rating, so you'll convincingly lose. As you see here, it's still very strong with shield advantage. Anything with nukes puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. With Moonblast, you could beat the Fighters, but in the 2-to-1 with shield advantage, Crunch would be better, just because Dark-type has more coverage against a lot of the Open Ultra League meta. So, as you see here, Crunch is you won't see a lot of Fighters, so, well, you can, but it's like Machamp or like Obstagoon. In either form, you beat Obstagoon with both movesets anyways. So, shield advantage. Zamazenta is still very... And that's GG! Zamazenta hero form is actually pretty good for Open Ultra League. It's not the greatest thing since Sliced Bread. Of course, Giratina Altered or any of the other legendaries are still extremely powerful compared to Zamazenta. But if you're looking for something fun, if you're going to raid for it anyways, and you're willing to build one, Zamazenta hero version is actually pretty good. Of course, close combat's really difficult to use. You're going to have to double up on it and fire. Also, things like deciding on whether or not you use Moonblast or not. Moonblast might be good because you could debuff, you get that chance to debuff, and it could possibly flip some matchups. Unfortunately, because Zamazenta doesn't get stabbed, it's not a pure fairy type. It's really interesting how it does, it's not very good anyway, so either moveset works. In my opinion, the Crunch version works best, just because Crunch has a lot more targets. With Crunch, you can beat Giratina Altered in the 2-to-1s and in the 0s. So 2-to-1s, 1s, and the 0s. So I would say Crunch is better overall just because you have a lot more targets. Close combat will cover the dark types anyways because, of course, like Umbreon, etc. because Zamazenta is a fighting type. What makes it really weird is Zamazenta has Snarl and it doesn't have like counter. If it had counter, I think Zamazenta would be a lot more powerful, but Snarl does the trick just because it gets you the energy to get to your charge moves. Other than that, it's really expensive to build. Don't recommend at first, but like I said, if you're looking for something fun, Zamazenta is actually better than Zacian just because Zacian doesn't have, Zacian's moveset doesn't target a lot more. Doesn't have a lot of targets compared to Zamazenta, just because Zamazenta has Crunch. So, it's really weird. I would wait for the Crown version, but it's totally up to you. If you would do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe. You now know most of everything about Zamazenta. It's not good in the other leagues, so like with Zacian, don't use it in any of the other leagues. It's only good for Ultra League. Master League, you're better off waiting for the Crown version. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and if you do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe. It's totally free and really helps out the channel. And you can easily subscribe by putting your mouse to the bottom right. You see the little box right there? Put your mouse over it. It'll pop up the sub tab. You can easily subscribe from there. It really helps the channel. It's totally free. Really do appreciate you guys. Appreciate my subs that are already subbed to me. Good luck in your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.